जय जय भगवते वासुदेवाय।
So we are reading Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, text 9. You can repeat after me. Atha chittam samadhatum.
अथ चित्तं समाधातो
न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम्. अभ्यासयोगेन ततो.
अभ्यासयोगेन ततो
मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय.
मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय।
अथ चित्तं समाधातुं.
अथ चित्तं समाधातुं
न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम्. अभ्यासयोगेन ततो.
अभ्यासयोगेन ततो
मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय.
मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय।
अथ चित्तं समाधातुं.
अथ चित्तं समाधातुं
न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम्.
न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम्।
अभ्यासयोगेन ततो.
अभ्यासयोगेन ततो
मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय.
मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय।
Someone can say yes.
अथ चित्तं समाधातुं
अथ चित्तं समाधातुं.
न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम्।
न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम्.
अभ्यासयोगेन ततो
अभ्यासयोगेन ततो.
मम इच्छां धनञ्जय।
मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय. Word to word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki. Atha,
Atha,
if therefore,
chittam,
mind, samadhatum, to fix, na, not, saknoshi, you are able, mai, upon me, sthiram, steadily, abhyasa yogena, by the practice of devotional service, tata, then, mam, me, ichha, desire, aptum, to get, dhananjaya, O winner of wealth, Arjuna. Translation. My dear Arjun, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. Purport. In this verse, two different processes of bhakti are indicated. The first applies to one who has actually developed an attachment for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by transcendental love, and the other is for one who has not developed an attachment for the Supreme Person by transcendental love. For this second class, there are different prescribed rules and regulations one can follow to ultimately elevate to the stage of attachment to Krishna. Bhakti Yoga is the purification of the senses. At the present moment in material existence, the senses are always impure, being engaged in sense gratification. But by the practice of Bhakti Yoga, these senses can become purified. And in the purified state, they come directly in contact with the Supreme Lord. In this material existence, I may be engaged in some service to some master, but I don't really lovingly serve my master. I simply serve to get some money. And the master also is not in love. He takes service from me and pays me. So there is no question of love. But for spiritual life, one must be elevated to the pure stage of love. That stage of love can be achieved by the practice of devotional service, performed with the present senses. This love of God is now in a dormant state in everyone's heart. And their love of God is manifested in different ways. But it is contaminated by material association. Now the heart has to be purified of the material association, and that dormant natural love for Krishna has to be revived. That is the whole process. To practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, one should, under the guidance of an expert spiritual master, follow certain principles. One should rise early in the morning, take bath, enter the temple and offer prayers and chant Hare Krishna, then collect flowers to offer to the deity, cook foodstuffs to offer to the deity, take prasadam and so on. There are various rules and regulations which one should follow, and one should constantly hear Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam from pure devotees. This practice can help anyone rise to the level of love of God, and then he is sure of his progress into the spiritual kingdom of God. This practice of Bhagavad Gita under the rules and regulations with the direction of spiritual master will surely bring one to the stage of love of Godhead. His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So we'll do the prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamanam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Pashyadisheshayane Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyev Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishvanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karti Vachanam Pangam Nangayate Vitim Vijat Kripatamam Priyat Sri Gurti Mutravim Pramandamadam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hare Krishna. So I'd like to beg for mercy of the Vaishnavas present here and all the seniors. I'm speaking for the purification of my heart and the pleasure of our regular Vaishnava. Please forgive me if any offenses happens, if anything I say wrong. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So first I would like to give some background, like what is happening in this shloka, why this shloka was quoted, and like that. So the 12th chapter, the name of the chapter is Devotional Service, and there are 20 verses in this chapter, and the total this 12th chapter can be divided in 3 sections according to the verses. The first verse is the question asked by Arjuna from Krishna, and then answering this question, the Lord tells the further verses. So from the verse 2nd to 7th, there is one section, and then from 8 to 12, there is another section. From 13 to 20, there is another section. So the question Arjuna asked in the first verse, if I read the translation. Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect, those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? So Arjuna asking here, like, who is superior? One who constantly engages himself in the meditation of the impersonal form, or the other who meditates or worships the personal form? So then further Lord explains from the verse 2nd to 7th how the personal form, the worshippers of the personal form is superior, and how those who worship the impersonal form, actually that path is very difficult. It comes in the verses. Okay, so then after establishing that the worship of the personal form is superior, then Krishna further explains like how we can attain, like how exactly we do that and how exactly that happened. He, from the verses 8 to 12, explains the progressive path of bhakti, like different levels of bhakti on which one can practice. Like in the verse before this verse, like in the 8th verse, the Lord tells this: just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. And then Krishna speaks the next verse, because if you cannot do this, like always fix your mind on Krishna, then this is the next step, the next stage, that like the second lowest stage. He tells, my dear Arjun, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulated principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. So, the previous verse, different acharyas like Prabhupada gives different thing, and then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Baldev Vijayabhushan gives different explanations. For example, the text 8, like where it is saying that engage all your intelligence, mind and intelligence in me. Fix your mind and intelligence in me, and then you will live in me always. But the same verse, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains in, like he gives 2 stages. One is called, there are 2 steps. No, Prabhupada is saying engage your mind and intelligence both, like the whole inner self, in fixing on Krishna. But this same thing Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains in 2 steps actually. Like when you fix your mind on Krishna, he quotes different term, and when you fix your intelligence on Krishna, use your intelligence. If you cannot fix your mind, then fix your intelligence. So these 2 steps are also gradual actually. Like fixing your mind on Krishna is given higher priority than fixing your intelligence on Krishna. But one can ask this question, like we know that intelligence is superior than mind. Then why here Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that fixing your mind on Krishna is more superior actually? It is. So the explanation I've heard is that because the mind is more fickle and difficult to control actually. It is flickering. So that's why when one does this, it is considered more superior. Like it's easier to fix your mind on something, fix your intelligence than your mind. Okay. So let's come to our verse then. Atta chittam samadhatu. चित्तं समाधातुं न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम् अभ्यास योगेन ततो मान विच्छाप्तुं धनंजय. Like if one cannot fix his mind upon Krishna without deviation, then one must follow the principles of Bhakti Yoga. So I'll explain. I've heard the lecture from Chetan Chandra. I'll explain from that. So he mentions two kinds of meditation. You can say, like remembrance. Two kinds of remembrance. One is called spontaneous remembrance. Like one is the remembrance for Krishna is natural for him, which Krishna talks in the text 8, like the verse 8, fixing your mind and intelligence on me. So that is spontaneous remembrance, and then Prabhuji talks about the conscientious remembrance, like when we have to put effort to remember Krishna. So he explains very, psychologically, like different psychological aspects he explained. So he explains from this that how we form memory actually, what memory we form, how much we remember those memories, how much we remember the incidents in the memories. So all these things explain Prabhuji so nicely. So I'll start from that only. So
spontaneous remembrance and conscious remembrance.
Conscientious, yes. Yes, I'll explain, then we can have the question answers in the end. So like there are three different aspects to both the conscientious remembrance and spontaneous remembrance. Spontaneous means natural. Without our effort, it automatically happens. So there are three qualities. Three qualities like flooding, feeling and fueling. So when the memory is coupled with some kind of desire or attachment or some emotional investments, so then this kind of memory is, you can say it is called spontaneous. And the three characteristics are, you can say the flooding, feeling and fueling. So I'll explain how this happens. For example, when we invest some memory, you can say that if we love someone, when we have someone who we love, so if anything related to them, him or her, comes in front of us, then automatically different kinds of emotions starts flooding in our mind actually. If you see, different kinds of emotions start flooding in mind, and then those same emotions start filling up our whole mind, and those same thoughts start increasing more and developing more and more emotions in our mind actually. So this is called spontaneous remembrance. Desire develops when we invest emotions deeply. When we invest emotions in something, then automatically we develop desire for it. This is how Prabhuji explaining, and I give the example of, if we love someone, then automatically, if anything related to them comes in front of us, then all the memories related to them start flooding our mind actually. Like their appearance, how they look, how their nature is, how their activities are, and the other aspects of that person. In Sanskrit, this same thing is called like remembering the name from Nam, Rup, Gun, Leela, and activities or pastimes. So the memories keep flooding and fueling and filling our mind, and we have to forcefully stop it if we want to focus our mind on something else. If you see, and just like I said, those same memory not only just fill our mind, but also start developing new you can say those new memories.
Brain pathways.
Yes, like that only. New memories which we have from them, which we cannot remember immediately, something like that. And if we talk about what is conscientious remembrance, so conscientious remembrance means, I'll start with an example that, for example, if we have placed something in the room in our house and we do not know where it is placed, and we do not use it very often, so when we look for it, when we need it, we look for it and then we place it at a particular place where we can find it easily, like more quickly than before. So this is called conscientious remembrance, and it also have three attributes, like three features, and it is called recollecting, like we have picked it from the previous place, and then restoring, we have kept it at a certain place where we can remember easily, and then the third is regenerating, recollecting, restoring and regenerating. So this comes in conscientious remembering. And one more example, if I give you that, if you meet someone Like in the first spontaneous remembrance, we had invested emotions. We have invested some emotions, we had some attachment, and we have had some desires. But in this conscientious remembrance, if I give you an example, like if we met someone very earlier, and we had not developed some kind of desire or attachment to them, or some kind of emotional connections, then
long distance relationship.
you can say not exactly like that. Like meeting someone new for a few times, or when you do not have certain, when you have less number of interactions with them, so you do not form that deep connections or emotional bonds, and you just know them for a certain time, and if you try to remember them after a long period of time, you might not remember them their name also, right? So this is called, in this we had not formed any emotional, or we had not invested any emotions, so we are not able to, we have not, like deepen our memories with them, or it is not easily coming, like naturally coming, it is not naturally coming. So this is called conscientious. Like we need to put effort to think about, like what was his name, I met him that day, but I'm not able to remember his name. So this, where memories feel and fuel our conscious, like this is when we need to put an effort to remember those things. So conscientious remembrance requires effort. Okay. So now the question is, in the 8th verse, Krishna told that fix your mind and intelligence upon me. Now in the 9th verse, he's saying that if you cannot fix your mind upon me, then try to practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga to fix your mind upon me, right? So, so how we can move from conscientious remembrance to spontaneous remembrance?
By
So,
devotional service.
yeah. So spontaneous remembrance requires investment of emotions or desires or some kind of attachment. So similarly, if we, with our with our efforts, only try to remember Krishna more and more, like all these things are talked in Prabhupada's purport. One second, I'll show you Prabhupada's. Can you open? So if I explain more, conscious remembrance of Krishna involves more than intellectual effort. Conscientious remembrance of Krishna involves more than, it is also a practice of cultivating emotional connections. So when we invest our emotions in that, then it will become more natural for us. And just like I gave the example of, if you love someone, so how that love develops, actually you invest your emotions, you invest your thoughts and feelings and everything, so that it get deepens, and then whenever you see them, it comes naturally actually. So similarly, by gradually increasing our emotional investment on Krishna, our consciousness becomes more naturally attracted to Krishna. And if I show you the purport how Prabhupada is talking about this, Prabhupada is talking about this. So in this verse, like to practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, one should, under the guidance of an expert spiritual master, follow certain principles. Like we are investing our many things. Like one should rise early in the morning, take path, enter the temples and offer prayers. Like when we offer prayers, we present our emotions and desires, how we are feeling and all, and chant Hare Krishna. So chanting Hare Krishna is the best way actually for this present age. It is the direct relation with Krishna. In the purports of the previous verses from 1 to 7, where Prabhupada established the superiority of the person from worship of Krishna, there in the purports Prabhupada explains how chanting Hare Krishna gets one directly the in the direct connection of Krishna, and then as much as we invest in Krishna or the activities related to Krishna, or remembering Krishna, then our spontaneous remembrance comes. Yeah. So if I show you different things. Yeah. So In conscientious remembrance, we work on our memories, like how we try to recollect things, we search that object, and then we restore it at a certain place where we can remember it easily, and then we rejuvenate means if you want to take it, then we easily take it. So first we have to work, like do all these things, search for that object and place it at a certain place, and then we can remember where it is placed actually. So when now we have done the effort, so automatically we'll remember. Now the first thing will come, yes, I have placed that object at that place, so automatically we can get it. And so just like this, if we do conscientious remembrance of Krishna, and how can we do that? By the following the practice of principles of Bhakti Yoga. Like all these things that we are doing in Krishna consciousness, actually we are practicing, we are trying to engage ourselves more and more in the remembrance of Krishna. How, like taking one should like entering the temple and offer prayers and chanting Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna is the best process. And then we offer flowers to the deity, cook foodstuffs to the deity. So we are trying to engage ourselves more and more in the activities of Krishna consciousness, so that our remembrance can be more and more to Krishna. So if I talk something from NOD, so in the NOD, the chapter 2 is called the first stage of devotion. In this, Srila Prabhupada explains the processes of the Rupa, Srila Rupa Goswami, what he has given in NOD. So in this there are, in practice, like devotional service, Srila Rupa Goswami gave 3 stages, like devotional service in practice. Like first he starts from, devotional service in practice, devotional service in ecstasy, and devotional service in pure love of Godhead. So what here it is talked about is devotional service in practice, which contains 2 parts actually. Devotional service in practice contains the Vaidhi Bhakti and the Rupanuga Bhakti. Both these comes in the devotional service in practice only. So what here it is talked as Vaidhi Bhakti. Like Raganu Bhakti means when one has developed that natural attachment. But before that, one has to follow the principles of Vaidhi Bhakti. Just like Prabhupada told that waking up early and then taking bath early and then entering in the temple hall, collecting flowers, offering flowers, cooking food, chanting Hare Krishna, and all these things. So this comes in the devotional service and practice. Devotional service and practice is sadhana bhakti. In sadhana bhakti comes 2 kind of bhaktis, Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhaktis. Yeah. So this what Prabhupada is explaining here is called Vaidhi Bhakti and the Raganuga Bhakti, where one develops that spontaneous attraction. There are a few things. And if I tell you the terms, like what different acharyas tells, once again, give me a second. Like in the 8th verse, I told that Prabhupada included both. Fix your mind and intelligence both on Krishna. But Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur describes in 2 stages actually. Fixing your mind, which is called Smaranatmika Bhakti. Like remembering the form of Shyam Sundar in the mind, using your mind, fixing your mind on Krishna. And then the second step, like fix your intelligence. If you cannot fix your mind, try to fix your intelligence, which is called Mananatmika Bhakti, contemplation on Krishna with intelligence. And in the 9th verse, what Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur terms it, coins it as Abhyas Rupa Bhakti, which is called the Vaidhi Bhakti. Endeavoring to attain Krishna by withdrawing the wavering mind repeatedly and fixing on Krishna. So now I'll tell certain things, like for example, when you chant, when we do our Hare Krishna chanting, we again and again our mind goes somewhere else, again and again, and we bring it back. Similarly, we should try to fix our mind on Krishna, just like that, just like we are, bringing our mind to and fro from that. When mind, Prabhuji, Chaitanya Prabhuji quoted one very good statement, like mind wants to stray away, but let it not stay away. So mind always wants to stray away, like go here and there, but we should try to not let it stray away. So, a significant principle in the Bhagavad Gita is the discipline of remembering Krishna regularly, which evolves into a disposition of remembering him constantly. Disposition means something which is natural. So, this progression from discipline to disposition hinges on the investment of emotions, like how much we are emotionally getting attached to Krishna. And like the bridge between consciousness, remembrance, and spontaneous remembrance lies in the development of desire. In the development of desire, in this shloka you can also see. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. So, the desire grows when you invest our significant emotions into practice. And if I explain one more thing, like why here the word Dhananjaya is explained actually. So Dhananjaya means conqueror of wealth, but the highest wealth is
Spiritual wealth.
yeah, spiritual wealth, or you can say desire for Krishna actually. Desire for Krishna. So whatever amount of wealth you have of this world, you cannot it cannot help you at the time of death, right? So the greatest wealth is desire of Krishna. That's why Krishna is mentioning here Dhananjaya. Arjuna is Dhananjaya. Okay, so so if I summarize, like I'll tell you few like practical word example. If you hear about an Olympics, you must be knowing about Olympics, right? So if any Olympic player, say one who goes in running, right? Athletes, like those who participate in running.
Neeraj Chopra.
Yeah, all these things. You must have watched different movies based on that. Like one movie I have watched, that Milka Singh. So in that, they are again and again, the athlete is again and again reminded that what he has to achieve actually, what he needs to get, where he needs to get actually. So he is again and again reminded. He again and again reminds himself also, so that he wants that thing only. For example, if you see about the Neeraj Chopra also, so they practice in this way only. They remember or think of the goal that they want to achieve again and again. Similarly, and one of the quote I have read in other books, like begin with the end in mind. You must have also heard it, like begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind, right? You should have, I've also heard from Prabhuji that we should have always purpose in our mind. So all these things are, you can say, can be concluded from this also, can be taken if we take some parts. So emotional investment makes memories powerful and enabling them to flood, fill and fuel our consciousness. And spontaneous remembrance occurs when memories work for us. Spontaneous remembrance occurs when memories work for us. For example, the example that I gave of if you love someone, so if any of the things you see associated with them, automatically different memories starts flooding our consciousness. So those memories keeps on flooding and filling our consciousness, and it also fuels. So those memories are working for us. But in consciousness remembrance, it involves recollecting, restoring and regenerating memories, eventually bridging to the level of spontaneous remembrance. So similarly, just like that only, Krishna is telling to Arjuna that, my dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulatory principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. So when you follow the principles of the regulatory principles of Bhakti, like as mentioned in these, and this should also be done under the guidance of an expert spiritual master. So I have also read why it is mentioned like expert when the picture of expert spiritual master comes. So if I see, yes, so these subject matters are transcendental, right? So what we want to attain is not material. So we need someone like representative of Krishna. I do not remember exactly, but we need someone who is expert in these subject matters, and under his guidance only we can attain that like the perfection of life, we can say, or the spontaneous movements, or what Krishna spoke, like atha chittam, fixing mind on Krishna. Some other things. Let me check if anything else. So in this section from 8 to 12, there are different stages of bhakti which Krishna spoke about. Like in the 8th verse, it was that fix your mind on Krishna on him without deviation. Like when you have natural love for him, or spontaneous. Then in the 2nd verse, in the 9th verse, he says that if you do not have the spontaneous attraction or remembrance of him, then practice it. Practice means when you voluntarily put effort to do those things actually. And in the further he says that in the 10th verse, like if you cannot practice also, then do some work for Krishna. And if you cannot work also in the 11th verse, then he says that give up the results of those works for some good purpose. And in 12th verse he concludes all this. And in the further verses from 13th to 20, he tells the qualities of a devotee, what qualities a devotee should have, so that he can increase his desire. So in conclusion, I can say that we have to invest our emotions so that we can make our memories more powerful, enabling them to flood and feel and fuel our consciousness by engaging more and more in the activities of Krishna consciousness. Yeah. So there are two types of remembrance: spontaneous remembrance and conscientious remembrance. Spontaneous remembrance is in which the memories works for us. The memories fill and fuel our consciousness. But in conscientious remembrance, we have to put those memories there first, and then we again and again, if we keep on doing that, then those memories will automatically give us some different memories like that. That will start then act as a first one, like spontaneous. Yes. So like in this verse it is said, in Anodi it is mentioned that this process of reviving the practice is not for developing something artificial actually. What we are trying to revive is natural within us. It is not artificial. Every living entity or jiva has the love of God in himself, which is dormant. Dormant means which is not that active actually. So what we are trying to do is we want to revive that, and it is not artificial. For example, if it is given in the analogy that, for example, a child learns or practices to walk actually, the walking ability is already there in him. So that's why he is able to walk. And it is also stated that one who has no basic walking capacity cannot walk by practice. Like if one do not have, so for that he needs to engage. So for that there is no practice. So he needs to engage invoke that thing by engaging in different aspects of like those 9 steps of Bhakti we have now, or by the grace of spiritual master and all. Any devotee gives some bhakti can be invoked by bhakti only. So if you say so, one of the things mentioned in Anodi is that Narad Muni mentions in this Sadha Bhakti in Srimad Bhagavatam, like he says to King Yudhishthir, my dear king, one has to fix his mind on Krishna by any means. Yena kena prakarena, you must have heard of this also. And these principles of Vedic Bhakti are also described in Srimad Bhagavatam. What Prabhupada is saying in the purport are from Anodi only, where he mentioned that verse where Sukadeva Goswami is, where Parikshit Maharaj asked Sukadeva Goswami, like he is at the moment of that, what should he do? So then Sukadeva Goswami said that start chanting and remembering God, Krishna. Like just like Prabhupada told, like constantly hear, one should constantly hear Srimad Bhagavatam from pure devotees. This practice can help anyone to rise to the level of God, and then he is sure to progress in the spiritual kingdom of God. This practice of Bhakti Yoga under the rules and regulations with the direction of a spiritual master, will surely bring one to the stage of Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class. It was very pleasing. Sorry for interrupting in the class. I want to engage you so that you are not feel boring for 45 minutes. That's my only intention, not other. Prabhuji, you told like spontaneous bhakti and conscious bhakti, right, Prabhuji? Karthike, Harike Prabhuji gave an example for conscientious bhakti. When you morning in this bhakti in the Brahmacharya, we chant morning, early morning, 16 not after we go to office. Prabhuji told to keep alarm for at least 1 hour once again, or 1 hour alarm from morning 10 o'clock to evening 7 o'clock for 1 hour. That alarm means once again one mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So that if you remember at least 1 hour in morning to 10 hours while working, it is like good habit. That's how we can practice conscious memory and memory also develop.
Yes.
And going on, unknowingly in a subconscious mind only, we'll get spontaneous bhakti and spontaneous chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. When you are working also, beside the back of the mind, our subconscious mind, will be chanting sometimes we can observe only.
Right.
I want to give an example of my father is also like a good devotee from other religion, but when he's sleeping also, night 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock also, when he suddenly he'll be chanting mostly chanting of the holy name Prabhuji. That is other religion, but my father is very good devotee. When I was sleeping, I was learning that chanting of the holy name. Like devotees and all, pure devotees, genuine devotees and all, in sleep night also they will be in the chanting of that Bhava. If they open their mouth, they chant the holy name. If they close their mouth, inside their mind, they will chant the holy name. So that is the greatness of the pure devotees.
Correct. Similarly, just like Prabhu Naveen Prabhu gave the example, we can also put in our day-to-day practice how we can remember Krishna more and more. So one more thing Chatan Charan Prabhuji was mentioning, like we are practicing all these things, so do we have that desire? How much do we desire for Krishna actually? We should ask this question to ourselves. How much do we have that desire? So for cultivating those desires, what steps can we take to build the bridge from conscious remembrance to spontaneous remembrance in a remembrance of Krishna? So this is a very good approach done by, told by Prabhuji to Naveen Prabhu. Very good. Yes, Prabhu, any other questions?
He's asking.
Anand told Poji, we told Poji what are the experiments we can do to bring these steps to get into spontaneous bhakti, and you told you must keep, you told very good point, you must keep our end goal, like end point where we are like Olympics and all, Neeraj Chopra, Manav Beka, and the coming month Champions Trophy is the cricket. So we must keep to win that trophy and all. And same like we must keep our end goal as Krishna Prema. And continuously, we must every day, every 1 hour, in 1 hour in a day, we remember our ultimate goal, and we must have like early warning signals to not get into the trap of Maya. Like if we are in self-gratification, we will go to be in hell. Like Atyupadi told one Garuda class also, so that all those things people know. So that early warning signals also you must create, and you must create chain links and so that we can desire for Krishna, not go for hell. We want to go for Vaikuntha and the system. Thank you for nice listening.
So if I tell you few things which I follow, which I try to follow actually. So we all have different, like many of us include, if I talk about myself, have different material anarthas, right? For example, if I do some seva, so sometimes I feel like, why am I only doing this? Why am I got stuck in this thing? So at that time I try to remember the purpose actually, like for whom I am doing it, what I want to get it from it. Why am I doing it? So if we ask these questions while doing activities which we don't like, which are not natural for us in the Krishna consciousness, like if we are engaged in some kind of seva where we are failing these kind of things, so we can ask ourselves question like, for what purpose we are doing this? What is the end goal? What is the end result we want? So So the end result is that we want to please Krishna. So if I talk about myself, so that is higher stage. So what I do is I take it a bit lower stage. Like I focus on how I can please my superior actually, just above me, like my counselor. If I can just please him, then my job is done. So that's how I think. So you all can also try to implement any kind of these kind of things. Small things. If we can just do small things now,
Nice.
just by taking one step, like remembering or chanting Hare Krishna mantra every hour, putting an alarm, or just thinking about Krishna, just taking his name.
In weekends class, we can just essentially sweep the floor and roll the mat. Like that. Small activities you can please with.
Small activities which can remind you of Krishna, so that will gradually. So this process is also a gradual process. If you read this purport, no, Prabhupada explains everything actually. He has written everything, how gradually one elevates to that stage. It is mentioned. So if you read, so this is a gradual process, and we have to make effort actually to try to remember Krishna. Anyone have any other question?
So, I would like to share some reflections. So, thanks for the wonderful class, Prji. So, it was very nice to hear the lecture from you. So, you explained very nicely this body remembrance. How the spontaneous remembrance is, conscientious remembrance is, like how we can gradually progress from this conscientious to spontaneous. Even you mentioned one point in the last, we should ask ourselves how much we desire for Krishna. So definitely it's a point to contemplate on ourselves how much we are remembering Krishna and how much the hankering is desire is to attain the Krishna. So, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai Guru Srila Prabhupada ki,
Jai.
Antal Samay Bhagavatam ki,
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Bhagavad Gita.
Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki.
Jai.